at some point, in doing that, if you take 185 programs that all have constituencies in Washington and send them back to the states, not that I'm arguing against this, but that if you...
that sounded like you were being...
I was trying to...
You were drifting to the left here, I think.
I have trouble between being agreeable and devil's advocate today. There are constituencies for each of those programs who will fight you.
Sure.
The current president of the United States will say to you in a debate, will say in a debate, Newt Gingrich wants to collapse 185 programs into each other and send them back to the states because that just makes it easier to cut them, and the federal government gets out of the way and toss the burden back on the states. Is there a rebuttal to that?
Sure. I believe the states actually care about their citizens more than Washington does. It's a straight argument. I actually believe the people of New Hampshire care about New Hampshire more than Barack Obama. Now, if you believe Barack Obama cares more about a place he's never visited than you do, you know, and the arrogance of politicians who say to you, I care more about people I've never met than you care about your neighbors. I just think it's, you know, this all grew out of a series of efforts, and you described it exactly. Every interest group wants its own special bureaucracy that it can control, that does what it wants it to do, and they then send orders back to home, and back home you get this rule that says the federal government requires you to do X. And so this is a straight up fight. This is one of the reasons I want to debate Obama next year, and one of the reasons I proposed 7 3-hour debates in the Lincoln-Douglas tradition. This is a really important philosophical argument. This is not a 30-second question. This is a question of where should the center of power be? Who do you think cares about the people in your state? Do you want 50 flexible experiments in which smart people work very hard to find smart solutions, and the ones that work get copied by everybody else? Or do you want one centralized bureaucratic rigidity in Washington, D.C.? This is a legitimate, you know, the country gets to choose, and if the country says, you know, I'd rather be protected by Barack Obama because I know that in his heart, he loves me so deeply that even if he doesn't know who I am, he means well for me. That's the country's right to choose. I mean, I think they're not very likely to choose it.
So you reform means-tested welfare programs, essentially. You reform Social Security, and we're not done yet. What do you do about the Medicare problem?
Well, Medicare is a totally different problem. That's why you have to isolate each major solution. Okay? I'm the only speaker in history to chair the Medicare Reform Task Force. We had a joint program where Ways and Means, Energy, and Commerce came together in my office, and I chaired it, and their staffs reported to my staff. And that's because it was very hard. We did something I would have thought almost technically impossible. We reformed welfare in 1996 in the middle of a presidential year with a liberal Democrat running for re-election. And we stayed so close to AARP that it never became an issue. I mean, nobody's ever written much about the 1996 reforms because they were never controversial. I mean, the White House wanted to break loose, they wanted to fight us, and AARP just kept saying, no, this is reasonable stuff. They're trying to do the right thing. And we also trained our members. We spent about a year, and we used to charge members $1. For example, we were reducing the rate of increase. Okay? So instead of going up, let's say 11%, I make the number up so it may not be technically right, it's going up 6%. You were not allowed to describe that as a 5% cut. And if you described that as a 5% cut, you had to pay $1. We began collecting money for a party. I mean, literally, every time a member, we monitored the floor. Every member went to the floor to make a 1 minute or to get involved in a debate. If they said cut, somebody went down to them and said, you owe $1.
Must have been a big party.
Well, it's fine. No, our members said, listen, we're conservatives. They learn really fast. I mean, if they'd been liberals, they wouldn't have noticed because they would have offered you a credit card. But we were actually getting cash, and they learned in a matter of days.